Here it is. Wait a minute.
What's up? Yeah, well, it says live here.
Bam.
Let's
Didn't you say,
see.
whatever. Anyway, we're here. We're live. It's Friday. You are.
The Bo Wonderco and John Colderized Lawson. What's up?
Well, that sounds kind of familiar. All right. You know what else is familiar? I'm Brent Leary. That's familiar. People love
Uh,
that.
with people.
I don't know.
That's what I was to say. Like, who would that be?
People be coming up to me and saying, "Aren't
Uh-huh.
you Brent Leary?"
Really?
No, I'm not.
I'm about to say
Sounded good. Yeah.
that doesn't sound right.
It sounded good though. It should be right. People
Yeah.
should roll up on me and say, "Hey, aren't you Brent Leary?" Like that. I would welcome that actually.
All right. We are live. Come check it out.
Did we
Out.
lose all your following since the groups thing got canceled?
Probably. Yeah. Nobody comes now because it's not in the groups.
I still wonder
But
why
I'm
they did it.
checking. I'm checking.
Yeah, still
I'm
wonder.
guessing that they just want to cut that off, man.
Well, you know
So
what
that
happened? Um,
what?
my buddy Ron Miller over at TechCrunch, he was like, uh, he said, "Look, there's something I really want you to get your take on about Facebook shut or Meta shutting down Facebook at work." I was like, "What the hell is that?" I really completely forgot.
No, back in the day.
He shot me a link to an article he wrote back in 2015 about Facebook starting this, trying to move into the enterprise with this Facebook at work thing. And
Yeah.
I was quoted, and I was like, I haven't thought about that since that article. And I'm like, you mean it took them 9 years because they just shut it down last week or this week one?
Wow.
It was like it took them 9 years to shut that thing down because nobody. I had literally not thought about it since then.
Yeah, that's been a while.
So I gave him a quote. I was like, "Yeah, I'm surprised it hadn't been shut down sooner." Because quite honestly, I never heard anybody talking about that because that was supposed to be competing with Microsoft, Microsoft Teams and Slack and Zoom, and who even thought about Facebook at work in comparison to any of those three things?
I mean, it was at the time. It would have been a good, you know,
It was a good
It'd have been a
idea,
good. It'd have been, yeah. I mean,
but they're
all the things
terrible,
that it had at the
terrible
time,
execution. They don't.
nobody knew about it either.
Well, this kind of comes in the long line of commercial consumer grade tech companies that make their name basically off of free apps and stuff that you don't get customer support because you ain't paying for nothing, so you don't get all the things that the enterprise needs. So when they make a move to try to enter the enterprise, they always fall flat because it's not the same thing. You can't operate the way that you do with consumers with they don't pay you for nothing, with enterprises that are willing to pay you money, but you got to do what they need you to do, and they never get it. I don't understand that. Do you know why they don't get it?
No.
I don't get it. It's like
It's
Google and devices. I mean, they make some, from what I heard, they make some decent devices, but I mean, it just doesn't seem to work out the way you think. Oh, wow, this is such a smart move. They're going after this market here. It's a lucrative market. And they don't seem to know exactly how to go, to get to that market. And it takes years before they just throw in the towel.
I don't think they're really that. I don't think they're really that dedicated to it.
I don't think they could have been, because you don't do this for 9 years
And nobody know about it. I wonder. Gosh, I wonder who was using it and had to transition off of it, and where did they go?
I think name begins with a Z and ends with Berg. Who else? I don't know who else will be using
That's about it.
it.
It was internal only.
I mean, come on. Have you ever been on a collaborative meeting where they were using Facebook at work? I mean, I honestly can say no to that.
Yeah. Big news this week, though.
What's the big news this week? I thought that was the big news.
No, the big news was definitely not that.
Was it
The
just the
big
Google
news-
I/O? Is this what we're going with?
That would be the second biggest news.
Oh, okay.
You know, first biggest news would be the new release of ChatGPT 4.0.
Oh, to the masses.
Yep. Well, no, that's 4. 4 is going to the masses,
Right.
and then the paid version is 4.0.
That makes no sense to me. What's with the naming convention?
I guess they did. I mean, if you followed around, I mean, the last version was 4V really, because they added vision, you know.
Right.
And so now we're at 4.0, which is Omni. So I mean,
terrible.
they don't want to, but yeah, it's kind of weird to go from 3 to 3.5 to 4 to 4.0 or 4V 4.0. So yeah, that's weird.
Makes no sense.
You know, but it's cool.
So all right, give me the highlights because I've been at conferences the last 5 weeks in a row, and I'm losing track of what's going on.
You gotta keep up with this stuff,
Hey,
man.
look, dude, I got
fast.
conferences. We got stuff going on, man. I can shoot you some stuff, but I want to hear the macro, the big platform. What's going on with that? So tell me, what's should I get excited about this latest release? What's there for me to get all antsy about?
Okay. So I mean, it's faster. Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. That's a good thing.
It has the ability to see, hear, and everything internally. Okay. So it's like if you have you ever used the app and talked to it before?
I've never talked to it.
Okay. But you use the app on your phone.
I actually like using it. I use the website. I like having a big screen if I can.
Okay. So then there's a couple of things for you too. But on the app, on the phone, it had a voice mode where you could talk to it and then it would talk back, right? But it used something called Whisper to do that. So
was it Whispered Insights? See what I did there, Alan? There's a little inside joke there. You know, Brent used to be you know what? That's because like 5 years ago, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your story. But he brought that up. And it has dawned on me, like I literally started a column on ZDNet what it looked like when the Alexa came out, and I got excited.
Don't get me started.
I got excited because I was thinking ahead.
Started about how you know what, you were right in line with Facebook for enterprise.
I ain't going out like that. I'm sorry, man. I'm not going out like that.
Oh, he was so into voice.
Oh my man, God. I really was.
He was like, oh, and they've got 100 million apps already for them. I was like, bro,
don't know if I said that.
You was definitely.
But I was all in.
App store, you were, man.
I was all in. I have to admit. And it just like nothing. It just nothing really moved for like years. I'm like, I'm done.
You did give it. I mean, because I was like, maybe a year afterwards, you were still into it a little bit. I was like, Brent, when are you gonna give up, bro? Ain't nobody doing no shopping there. Yeah, I can give you a couple of things. I give him a couple of things, bro. Alan, he's done a couple of things. Especially when it came to Amazon.
I'm getting called out by Alan Berkson. And, you know, just as an aside, this past week on PPN, the Players Production Network, it was Alan Berkson week because he was on like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 shows or something like that. And then he comes here and just like,
well, that just makes it 6.
Yeah, that's right. He just found a way to make it. And this ain't even really a PPN. And here's Alan trying to steal the thunder.
That's too funny.
All right, go ahead with your story, please.
So the Omni, before it was doing stuff with the voice on a separate AI, right? So it was Whisper, and Whisper was made to do voice, right? So what it would do is you would talk to the app, and then it would translate it, or push it over to Whisper. Whisper would translate your voice into text, then feedback that to Chat GPT, and then it would come back out the other way. You feel me?
Okay, yeah,
And
that's cool.
now it does it all in one. So it's like automatic, it's like instantaneous, like you're having a conversation directly. All right. When it
So,
rolls out, that's what they showed off.
so this is completely outside of what's going on, where there are rumblings that Apple is going to let OpenAI integrate with Siri on iOS devices. That has
Yeah.
nothing. Okay, well now that
Well,
I
I
mean
mean,
that'll be a big deal.
yeah, that'll be a big deal. But now you can see how that can happen now that we've seen 4.0. So I'm sure that's what they're rolling out for the Apple product as well. So that Siri, you'll be able to have a conversation, and
That's
it'll
cool.
be interesting. It'll
Yeah.
be, I mean, because that's what Apple does. Whatever they do, it's going to at least work, you know.
You
So
would hope, although their track record with Siri is not exactly all that great, if you ask me.
right, yeah, they can't lose on this one though.
Siri has not got much smarter since 2011.
No, it'll get so much smarter. I can see something on my shirt and it's driving me crazy. I hate that.
Yeah, I see something, but it's your
And
head.
it's getting worse.
Yeah, your head is getting worse.
Shut up. And so, anyway, so they're going to do that. And like Alan just said, the performance of the new release, you can interrupt it. So it's talking, you're talking back, you can stop it right in the middle of a conversation because it's listening while it's speaking. Which so it's no longer just turn by turn, interactive. So anyway, that's cool, right?
Yeah, that is cool.
So let me ask you a question because I asked my husband this today and he kind of vaguely remembers this. Do you remember probably around like 2018, maybe 19? I think it was before COVID, but maybe after. But it's been years that we were aware that Facebook was working on some AI and they had this AI that was talking to another AI and they had them talking to each other and then they couldn't understand it all of a sudden started making up its own language and they cut them off because
Really?
you remember that
I kind of.
vaguely, right? That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's been that long ago. And I'm like, they were like freaking out because it created its own language to be able to communicate. So anyway, in this new video, they're showing in the release where a guy is using two phones with that um, Chat GPT app and he turns one phone on and tells it to start basically reading a poem. He says singing a poem or singing a song or something. And he's like, and I want you to just go one line at a time. Then he turns the other one on and says, I want you to respond. And he ends up where the first one would do the first line, the second one would then come in and use the end of the last line to make the rhyming word for the next one and back and forth.
So it's like pass the mic.
It's like pass the mic.
That's cool.
My husband called it AI rap battles. AI rap battles.
Oh no. So which one was Drake and no?
Right. But
That's cool. That's cool. Now that all. Did OpenAI have like a conference or something this week?
They had a spring update.
Okay, spring.
That was on Monday. Okay. So they wanted to Bigfoot what happened on Tuesday.
Google I/O. Okay.
With Google I/O.
So give me some flavor of what happened there
at I/O.
Yeah. Anything that is as exciting to you as what you just described?
Yeah. Okay. What was nothing as to me as exciting because they didn't do things that exciting live. Okay. And Google has a problem because we don't believe anything they say. Right.
Remember like I think this was before the pandemic. Remember when that was like one of those first times where they broke out the kind of the voice assistant and it had the demo of that talking to a human, making an appointment
and ordering a pizza.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah. Haven't seen it yet, have we?
That was before the pandemic, wasn't it?
I don't know. It had to be because it was we were all in.
Oh yeah, it was a
Yeah,
face-to-face event. That's right.
yeah, it was a
So
face-to-face event.
we're still waiting on this stuff.
We're still, yeah, that's true, man. Google has a problem with putting stuff out and then never delivering. So,
That's you know
yeah,
what?
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
That's kind of along the same lines as what we were talking about with Facebook at work. You know, you try to do something that because on the surface, it's a good idea, right? You
Mhm.
go after this market because there's a huge opportunity, but you don't know how to really take advantage of it, and you sit around. Let's hope it doesn't take 9 years before they get it right. Like at least Facebook got it right by shutting it
Yeah,
down.
that's what I'm about to say. Well, at least Facebook rolled it out.
Will they? Right.
I mean, ain't nobody ordered a pizza with a pixel yet. So,
Damn, that
but
is
yeah,
really not
I
good.
forgot all about that. I'm gonna have to pull that one up and look at that again because now that we know what Google does, we can be like that was fake. That wasn't even real,
You
And they
know
made
what?
pretend like it was real. It wasn't real.
I'm going to go back to maybe, and we can talk a little bit about what's going on with Amazon because actually Alan Burks was the one who hit me to Adam Selipsky leaving AWS. But remember when we were talking about Amazon shutting down the checkout, and then we find out that it was
Yeah.
never
Oh
really.
my gosh. Did we ever talk about that here?
Yes, we mentioned it where we thought when
Oh
people
my
walked out of the
god.
stores, there was technology doing all the checkout instead of like people
a
in
thousand
India with
a
webcams.
thousand people in India watching webcam.
Unbelievable what these companies are. So either we get the Facebook at work approach where they do launch it, and then 9 years later they're like,
Yeah,
we
we're
nothing.
done. We're
Or
done.
like Google, you announce it, and 5 years later we're still waiting for them to actually launch something.
Or
Or
Amazon,
Amazon
where
making
you
it look
announce
like
it, act like it's really working,
like
and then pull back the curtain, and it's got little munchkins back there.
it makes you really wonder what is
Wow.
real and what isn't because
Wow.
these are the big Amazon, Facebook or Meta or whatever you would call it, and Alphabet or Google. They're not that many tech companies that are even on their level, and each of them took a different approach
Wait,
to trying to get over on us.
you
Basically,
got to read Alan's last
let's see what
little.
Alan. Oh wow, Google plus activity.
Hey, but that's
Resilient.
true. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was an announcement that was supposed to be better than Google back in the day. I cannot. Oh man, Google. If we went through the timeline of Google announcements and actual reality, they've got a credibility problem, a real credibility problem.
First of all, hello to Rosella. I hope I'm saying that right. Do you
Hello,
do you
Rosella.
do you know Rosella?
I don't think I know her, but
Okay.
probably maybe too.
Well,
Yeah.
hello. And she says, "What are your thoughts on the real reasons Walmart and other stores are getting rid of self checkout? It's harder than they thought. I'm guessing, but
I think that they've lost a lot of money through fake checkouts.
let's face it. There's how much money. You're right. How much stealing and theft?
Lots,
would-
lots.
what do you think percentage wise? How much do you think they lost like revenue because
I
of
don't know. I don't know, and that's who knows, man. You
She
know.
says she follows you.
Oh, I follow you. Oh, okay, fantastic. How are you? Now we know each other.
Yeah, because
Yay.
she asked the commerce question. So yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
that's what
sense.
when I read it. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Um, you know, that's the only thing I haven't really followed the story a whole lot. I need to do some research on it and figure out but my thought is definitely they just are losing a lot of money. I love self checkout. That's the only thing I do. I never go online.
Yeah, but it's literal self checkout where you do have to stop at a station and run your stuff through. What?
Right? Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's you got to scan the stuff, and I don't see. I don't see why they couldn't make that work. There's enough, I guess. I mean, one person could watch 4 stations, easy. But when I go to Walmart, they've got one person and they're watching like 3 whole lines, like 12 different stations. They're always being called away from watching to go and, check somebody's ID, to see if you can buy the beer or if you got to return or they need to remove something. So you figure like all that time that person's running from station to station, they're not watching possible theft. And if you remember, and I was thinking about this too the other day, is that when you used to go through checkout, it used to be very frustrating because you would scan something and then you'd have to put it on the scale.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
I still have to do that when you order fruit or like stuff like that. You got to do that.
No. I'm saying after you've taken it off, you would put it on the thing, and the thing used to be a scale, and it would be able to tell whether or not you were putting the thing you scanned onto the thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You remember that? That was at the very beginning, and it used to drive me crazy because it would like be put it in the bag. I'm like, bro, it's already in the bag. If it was something really light, like it was some herbs or something, it couldn't really register that you put it in the bag. Yeah. So they turned that off, right? And I think when they finally turned that part off, that allowed for a lot of, because hey, I can scan a can of beans and then put something, meat in the bag.
By the way, Alan is saying they lose twice the industry average loss rate in self-checkout. So that's
enough
the
right
reason.
there.
That's enough lot of money being lost.
Because I mean, groceries, and people don't know this, man. Groceries is like a 2% margin in profits. It's not a lot of profit. That's why they make so much of their own groceries, because other than that, they don't get a whole lot of money on groceries.
By the way, yeah, that was going to be I'm still waiting for the flying cars, Rosella.
I'm still waiting. But I think Rosie the robot with these updates are coming very quickly, bro.
Rosie the robotic Copilot.
Yeah, Rosie the robot is coming.
All right, so let me do this. I was at a conference this week. Any conference you go to nowadays, AI. I mean,
I know. Yeah, well, let me just say that before you say this. Yep. That's all that they talked about at Google. 2 hours, nothing but AI.
That's a lot.
It was overwhelmingly a lot.
Yeah, that's
all right. Go ahead.
Too much. So one of the things that came. So I went to a company called Genesis. Their conference is called Experience, and their contact center folks. Like they're people, agents using their platform to do all sorts of call intake and resolutions and all that kind of stuff. That's of course it's a huge market for all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that they were talking about, and once again, it's AI kind of at its heart, but it's not just AI, it's AI and automation and autonomous automation and all that kind of stuff. One of the things they talked about is, we're going to have copilots, right? And copilots are, really proliferating. And a lot of the time, the not known Copilot, everybody knows about like Microsoft Copilot. And so you're seeing a lot of integrations between other companies, software companies integrating with Microsoft Copilot, because it's like the general right now, the leading general purpose Copilot. But now you're seeing these companies integrate their own copilots, or sometimes they call them assistants and things like that are specific to what they do.
When you talk about Copilot, you talking about like Clippy?
No, I'm talking about Microsoft Copilot.
I'm talking about Clippy.
Well, I if you want to call it that, I ain't calling it that.
You remember Clippy, right?
I remember Clippy. That's why I'm not calling it that. Clippy was a joke. This ain't no joke.
Okay, so but for real, when you say Copilot,
right,
kind of give us the definition of a Copilot.
I mean, literally, that's what it's called, like Microsoft Copilot.
Right? So yeah.
As you're using,
as other people are.
Yeah. So yes, like still people. I haven't used Outlook in a long time. I'm sure you haven't used Outlook, but a lot of these big enterprises and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees are still living and
in
Outlook
Microsoft Word.
and spreadsheets and Microsoft Teams. And so
So it's
my
like but it's just a help.
so for example, if you're creating an email in Outlook, you have a Copilot that helps you put the email together.
Okay.
It suggests here's something you could say, I want an email that says this in 100 words or whatever, and it'll do that.
Okay.
So, or if you're in a spreadsheet and you want the spreadsheet to do something, you can
So,
use the
but
Copilot.
that's what I'm saying. So now Copilot, as opposed to this is what Microsoft calls their AI help, it's now becoming a term that other people are.
Yes.
Okay, got you. All right.
For example, let's see Adobe calls their assistant, or do they? There's a lot. There's two camps.
We're going to
There's
start hearing more.
co-pilots,
Okay.
and some people are calling it assistants.
Okay.
But Microsoft is kind of like the number one general purpose Copilot, because so many, at least on a business level, because so many people still live in Outlook and spreadsheets. Yep. So and
they're in Windows now too.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're on Teams. So Microsoft, when it comes from the enterprise business perspective, people still live in those things. So that's why
fine. I throw my hands up. Microsoft has done well.
Well, and so well with this Copilot and their arrangement with OpenAI that all these other companies are integrating their specialty assistant. So, for example, this company ServiceNow, who and Alan knows about this, they started out in this ITSM world, IT service management, and now they've moved into customer workflows and all that. So they got a lot of data that is like specific to like onboarding new employees, having workflows that cross different functional areas in the company. So they have an assistant that helps with that, and they are tying their assistant into the Microsoft Copilot, because even though they have their own special data, people are still working in Outlook and spreadsheets.
So they're making instances, basically, of Copilots.
No, they're connecting.
They're connecting.
Yeah, so that you don't have to leave Microsoft in order to get the stuff done that you need. Right.
Got it. Okay. Got you. Okay. So they are. Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Yeah. Adobe is doing that. And several.
So they're kind of like building. They're extending on the Copilot framework to do their own stuff.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So that you don't have to silo. You don't have to always have to go to 5 things. You can just go to one, and in the background, that one is communicating with these other Copilots.
It's almost like a plugin.
Right. Now, here's the interesting thing. So I was at this one with Genesis, and they announced this big partnership between the company ServiceNow and they call theirs assistant. I think it's maybe Copilot is one, but they're integrating. So what's going on is all these things are going to be connecting in the background, so that you don't have to physically have to keep jumping around. You can just do it from one, and it communicates on the back end and then does what you want it. But at some point, and that's called kind of, the Copilot isn't human in the loop. So the human is still driving, and the Copilot is still the Copilot, because the human is telling the Copilot what it needs, and the Copilot does all the stuff in the background and provides what the human needs. But at some point, and we started talking about this at this thing. When does the AI become the pilot and the human become the Copilot?
Look, as soon as they can save a nickel.
and apparently it's not, that your objects in your rear view mirror are closer to the
yes.
So we're going to still have a human in the loop.
We hope.
But it's not the human that's driving. It's going to be the AI that's driving, and the human is going to be the Copilot at some point.
Yeah. Or, another thing is that I was thinking, it's like, humans are always going to, I'm like, yes, they are, but they will be doing the work of 100 old humans.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, but I think people understand that part, but they don't understand, or they're afraid that, yeah, my job as it is might go away, but other opportunities, other things will open up.
Yeah,
But
well,
some people
we
are
just
afraid of that, and they
we don't, but
concentrate on
they
that other
can't
part.
promise that. We don't know.
No, but history tells us it's going to happen, because how many people are farmers today as a percentage of the population?
Not as many as there used to be.
Exactly. And we still are
So,
eating, right? We're doing
right.
it, you know.
Somebody really said something I never even thought of or knew. He said that back in the day, artists were afraid of photography.
I'll give you another one. Because there's Ken Burns Jazz, right? I love that series.
Mhm.
And in the I think in the early 1900s, there are a couple of folks who are like the biggest jazz folks of the time. They're like at the beginning, and everybody wanted to hear them play. And I can't remember the exact name of these guys that I think maybe one is called King Oliver. He was a trumpet player, but they had the opportunity to be the first jazz musicians to record their music so that people could hear it other than when they're playing it
Live.
live. And
Yeah.
they turned it down. You know why? They turned it down because they didn't want any of their competitors listening to the music, to what they were doing, and then trying to basically
Emulate it.
to replicate it. So they were so afraid of people stealing their stuff that they turned down what would have been a monumental opportunity to be the first recorded jazz musicians,
Mhm.
because of what you're that thinking, like what you're just talking about.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're probably right. There will be, other things popping up. But gosh, man, I tell you, this one, you know what? I just never seen something move so fast.
I don't think anybody has really, if you think
Well,
about it.
it's just this is head spinningly, mind blowingly fast.
I think the scariest part of that is we don't know. Not only is it moving fast, we don't know where it's going.
We have no idea.
Yeah, and that to me, that's good. And we all know that the potential is there to be catastrophic in certain instances.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or yeah. I mean, as good as things going to be, there's going to be bad, and that's just who knows how bad.
All
You
right.
know. Okay.
Rosella says, "What do you think the accuracy percentage is of AI? How dependable do you think it is? There are so much fake media. How can you tell?" All right, you can start on that
Well, I mean,
one.
I think that it's kind of weird. Here's weird. I don't know, and I don't think anybody can tell you because it will make some stuff up. Um, but here's the weird thing: is that we as humans get used to fake in a weird way that we can kind of actually embrace the fake.
Whoa.
So I don't know what that's going to mean later on. All I know is that when Michael Jackson got the damn nose, everybody's like, he looks like Pinocchio. Now you go through and everybody got the damn nose. It's so weird. You know what I'm saying? So you never, and it's just weird that we've gotten used to people with fake noses to the point where we don't even point it out anymore. So I don't know what's going to
Well,
happen
unless they look really ridiculous.
unless they. But see, the level of ridiculousness moves further and further out. You
That's
know,
true.
yeah. So it's kind of strange, bro. And I don't know, but yeah, the percentage. Uh, who knows? Because I mean, that's dependent on how much crap people put out, and I think it's going to increase as more and more people try to put out fake crap. What happened to your light? You did get hit.
Oh, I think it's I didn't even have any lights on. I think it's when the
Oh,
a
okay.
cloud shifts over and it takes out what little sunlight is coming in.
Oh,
All right. I want to play this little clip. This is from a
he's got
conversation
a clip, y'all.
I got a clip from a conversation I had out at this conference about a little bit about this fake, but something that surprised me about this whole conversation about how humans and the co-pilots will switch positions at some point. Check out what he says about companies actually trusting the AI a little bit more in certain circumstances. Check this out.
Of human in the loop and having the co-pilot and an agent working with the co-pilot.
Yeah.
To a point where do we get to where the actual co-pilot ends up being the human and the AI is actually kind of running the show for the most part?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think that there is a continuum, right? So a co-pilot can be where we frame up skills that we then want to expose on the self-service side.
Right.
But equally, the co-pilot can be a window into an autonomous helper that is, you can have a mode where you review everything it does, but everyone who has that human in the loop capability, eventually, once they start to trust it, they start to remove the slider, or they move the slider to the full automation side. And we'll offer more controls as we evolve these things around that kind of capability. We already have customers with just summarizing conversations at the end of an interaction, agent wrap up, who are already saying, I don't want the agent to be able to modify the summary because I already trust it. So They want more controls around not being able to modify it. And that's really, this was entirely new last year, right? So We're already there just in terms of trusting it much more because they've observed the accuracy and they're just sort of saying, okay, well, that's done. Like, let's tackle some other problems.
So that's already it's all case. It's probably a use case by use case basis. But he just said that some companies are trusting the AI, at least it's the summarization of data. They're trusting the AI to the point where they don't even want the actual human to override what the AI is putting out. I found that really surprising.
Yeah, he said basically we're trying to reduce the access for humans to change what the AI has already said.
Well, the way he put it is he's giving people, I guess the folks who are managing this technology, the opportunity to move the lever to a point where you can't override the AI because we trust the AI.
This is where we are. This is look, we've seen it in the movies, bro. Here we go.
How would that? I mean, but this is 2020. I was so surprised when he said that we're here already.
5 years out at least.
Yeah, we're here. I mean, but once again, we've talked about this week after week. Every day, this stuff gets better, smarter.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Here's funny, because we don't have Chris Green on here, and I need to call his ass out.
I know. Where the hell is he?
I know, for real, right? But do you remember when Chris Green, we were talking, could have been maybe 6 months ago, when Chris Green was on here calling ChatGPT a, what do you call it? A word calculator.
Oh.
and then I happened to see this thing, and he's on there talking about writing with AI, and I'm like, 6 months later, it's changed. You know what I'm saying? It's changed everybody's the way they're thinking. Your paradigm has totally shifted, and that's what's going to keep happening, and it's happening faster and faster and faster because it's actually that accurate. It is that accurate when you do it and put it in the right context. So the things that we're saying in this conversation, like he's talking about, we could have an AI take notes from this conversation and write content based on this conversation, and it'll be 100% accurate.
I tell you, I've been using that Opus AI, that Clips thing, for probably like 7 or 8 months at this point. I remember when I first started using, like,
it's just kind of flaky, or you wouldn't let it put the words on there because half the words would be wrong.
Yeah.
Now it's like 100.
It's like, whoa,
right? And see, and here's the thing, guy. All of these run on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
See, that's the one thing that even, okay, I'm not just this guy or this company, but a lot of these companies that are building these things are going to also be replaced by AI. Your whole company could be replaced by AI, right? So here's like with what's going on with the new release of ChatGPT, their model now is able to speak like, I don't know, 200 languages in an instant, right? And convert. Well, there were whole companies that were built around ChatGPT that did nothing but translate stuff into other languages. Now it's totally inside of ChatGPT. You know what? Did you remember that TED talk with the guy that had the thing on his shirt, and it was supposed to be this AI jewelry that could see. Did you ever see that one?
I don't traditionally watch that.
Yeah. So there was this AI piece, and it just came out, $700. And your boy, what's his name, Marcus, did a video on it.
Oh, really?
And he was saying it was the biggest piece of crap he's
Oh,
ever
he's
seen.
been killing that stuff, like
He's been killing that stuff, right?
the humane AI.
That was it. That's the human AI
okay.
pen. Do you remember the video where he talked about it at TED? And it was like, whoa, this is going to be crazy. Then it came out and it's garbage, right?
And that other that rabbit.
The rabbit, they opened it up and found out it was nothing but a droid, a droid phone basically. So, but here's the deal: is that everything that humane was doing, ChatGPT is doing it on the video. On that phone app, he turns the app on, the video camera on, and says, "What do you see?" And it tells him what's he see. And then he does a math problem with it pointing down at the page, and it's helping him solve the math problem. So it's like, it just took humane, which was, probably had a lot of people really excited about the next level, and overnight they're not going. Who cares? I can do it with my phone.
So far, the pure AI devices have been terrible.
Yeah, because they're not really pure AI.
No, and they're not really great devices, generally speaking.
And you know what the biggest problem is?
What?
They don't have LLM on the chip.
Oh, wait, so they have to go to the cloud with every request?
All have to, yes.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah,
that's got to go up to the cloud to communicate. So until we get those, and that's why, funny, because I remember last year going to Zoho, and he was talking on stage about how smaller AIs, as opposed to the big ones, are
narrow language models.
Right? And now I see, because we need stuff that's going to work on that teeny device without having to have a cloud connection.
And in a lot of these companies, they're trying to help customers with specific kind of requests and problems. They don't need a large language model for the stuff that they're working on. Yeah.
Right. And if I wanted to just calculate how many products are in my warehouse going in and out, I don't necessarily need all the other parts.
Yeah, you don't need the big public LLMs for that.
Right.
That's why one of the things, so last week at the ServiceNow keynote, they had the CEO and founder of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang. He joined them, and he said something that really got my attention about ServiceNow and how smart they are early on. So, last year everybody was kind of caught off guard for the most part. So most of what you heard at these conferences is, yeah, we've got Gen AI. We've been doing AI for years. Now we got Gen AI. Don't worry, we got you covered. Whereas, and all the while they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out. Like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain kind of thing. But ServiceNow, he said last year, they were so on point with where they thought Gen AI was going that they didn't want to just connect to the public LLMs. They decided to get into a partnership with NVIDIA last year, like early last year, so that they bought the chips from NVIDIA to create their own ability internal to process the data and create their own language models without having to go outside. So they got a year's jump on everybody else. And Jensen was like, they were the first enterprise software company to think like that and to do what they did with us. I'm like, how much is that going to pay off in the long run?
I don't
Being
know.
able to do that kind of thing.
I don't know, but at least hey, they got they 1 year anniversary to go to.
Yeah, I think it's
Because that's what I think what happens is all that stuff gets compressed. Back in the day, having a jump would last you for X amount of years. But I think also that the stuff that's happening is getting that gets very compressed. So literally, you could jump in today and maybe leapfrog all the people that have already been in there for years. Well, for 2 years, you know what I'm saying? Simply because you're on to the next version and they're still waiting to catch up. Who knows? I don't know.
I also think that if you have your own internal abilities to collect but process the data, that means you don't have to wait your turn for everybody else stuff to get processed while yours is in the queue. Your stuff is getting processed like immediately, and I think if that could be a potential game winner for certain companies and certain industries.
Speed definitely is going to always be a thing, an advantage. Speed will always be an advantage.
Yeah. So this was kind of an amazing week in certain ways because you had the main kind of thing going on with Google I/O. You had what you're talking about with OpenAI. You had more industry specific things going on, like I've been at the last several weeks. But the kind of the connecting force right now that I'm seeing is Microsoft Copilot finding its way to be integrated and connected with all these other things. And I don't know what that does for like Amazon and AWS. I don't know if what's going on with that with Silipsky leaving, but it feels like, remember, AWS is so far ahead of Azure at one point. That hasn't been the case for a while, but this AI thing is really allowing Microsoft to maybe even start distancing themselves from AWS.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to come over and build an infrastructure and I get access to, whatever they call inside of Azure, because Azure has its own AI in it.
Yeah.
Well,
they have a layer.
Right.
Yeah. And they have, so this is why Microsoft is, people are always going to be looking at them for this. They've got the productivity stuff. They've got the enterprise application stuff. They have Azure and cognitive services and like AWS, they have, the cloud computing. So when you think about it, if you had to choose one company that kind of has it all currently, it would be Microsoft.
Yeah, well, that's because I mean they do. It's called Azure AI.
Right.
And they got that, and you get access to it, and of course it's ChatGPT kind of based.
Yeah, the partnership with
right. And so you get access to that when you build on their servers versus, and here's why we see the partnership with Anthropic and Amazon.
Well, they need something.
Right, because they're going to have something to answer to all of this stuff being built on these Azure servers.
And Claude, from what I hear, Claude is actually
it's better.
It's better, but
it's logically better.
But here's the thing: like, I'm in the middle of a research project with me and partnering with Zoho, and one of the questions on the survey was, which Gen AI services do you use? And 70% said ChatGPT.
Yeah,
like 20% said Claude. I mean, it's not even close at the moment.
Hey, that 20% is major.
Really?
Yeah, that's major.
Okay.
That's major. If you think about it, I mean, in terms of, and you're talking about these are businesses?
Yeah, this is a business survey. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty major, man, because you got all the conversation in the room is always about open. Ain't nobody sitting around talking about
Claude
Claude. However,
or
these business owners are finding it and then sticking with it because once you play with it, you're like, dude, this thing, is really good. And guaranteed on the front end, consumer facing, Claude is very clunky. But
what
when
do
you're
you
building stuff on the back end, it doesn't matter which one. And the one that has the most, the best responses are the ones you're going to go with. So that 20% is not to be sneezed on.
what do you think about Google? They've got
Who?
Gemini.
Who?
All right. Do you think Gemini can make inroads?
Gemini they came out with 1 million, context window, 1 million, whatever they're called. I want to say bytes, but it's not bytes. But anyway, my brain's not working. But so their context window is 10 times bigger than, ChatGPT. That's pretty huge,
Yeah.
It's nothing to sneeze at. Gemini's nothing to sneeze at. The problem with Gemini is it's not, in my opinion, this is just, and I'm not, anybody special, but the problem with Gemini is the content that it puts out is not as aware to me as the content that the other ones put out. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that part is lagging when it has the ability to have been trained on all that data.
But yeah, all just from the Google services like Gmail and Chrome and
Yes,
all the things.
YouTube.
Oh my God, YouTube.
Yeah.
Even the productivity stuff, because a lot of people on the small business side have forgone Office, so they use Docs and Sheets because it's cheaper.
Okay, so that was an announcement that was pretty big. You can get access to Gemini inside of workplace docs and sheets now.
Yeah, that's huge.
Workspace. That is huge.
Yeah.
So that's that. But they had to that's another thing. They had to do that with all the advancement that Microsoft's making. And I'm guessing, because it hasn't rolled out yet, people haven't played with it yet. But as soon as it starts, you're going to start hearing everybody go, that ain't that great. Or that, you know what I'm saying? They're going to start chewing them up. Because I just think they're not living up to the standard that they need to be living up to be the people that actually created this technology. It's insane.
When you think about it, just from the components and pieces, Google has everything that Microsoft has and Android. But maybe we're tying this all the way back to where we started with Facebook. Microsoft understands the enterprise. Google doesn't. Not like Microsoft does.
No.
And even if they have some of the similar pieces, they ain't putting them together like Microsoft is. And that is a huge challenge for everybody that's looking at this that is not Microsoft. Amazon, Google, I don't know if you want to put Oracle in there, but the big four. This is making the big four into the biggest one in the other three. And it's coming kind of quick.
You think that's happening? Yeah. But here's where it's all going to break apart a little bit. All right. I think it's going to get a little fragmented. It's going to be hard to keep all of that knowledge in that building forever.
Oh yeah.
Because Anthropic are two people that left OpenAI and built it.
And didn't the co-founder of OpenAI just leave again, like before he got fired? But he just left.
Ilya.
Yeah, the other guy.
And we don't know where he's going. He's one of the big brains, co-founders. So there was 3 of them. Now they're all 3 in different places. So, yeah,
which is probably
the future is going to be interesting.
Yeah. One quick thing. Annette says, first of all, hi Annette. I don't think
you said
hello to her. People need to embrace AI because it's not going anywhere. It is available in so many. Well, I don't know anybody who would disagree with that at this.
No, yeah. If you're still having to convince those people, that's kind of weird too. That within a year, that kind of talk is like, please,
You don't hear it as much anymore.
You
Remember,
really can't. You can't. You can't sit there and because it's like, okay, it's here. It's here. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and in less than a year, that has changed dramatically. That sentiment
Dramatic.
has changed dramatically.
Yep. Dramatic. It's just, oh my gosh, man. And I'm excited. I'm still excited. I'm not scared.
I was waiting for a but. It sounded like there's a but coming.
No, I was thinking I was going to be saying I'm excited, but I'm cautious, but I'm really not. I'm just like, let's go. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think I've gotten more optimistic and slightly less cautious or pessimistic because it feels like it to me, and maybe you're seeing it a different way, but maybe it's because of the kind of conference I'm going to. I'm actually seeing more real use cases, more actual meat on the bone kind of activities being addressed with this, as opposed to last year it was all about, oh, I could do purple cows and I could write poetry. You don't even hear that as much as you used to.
Nah,
It feels like
because it's matured.
Yeah, the technology mature, and the people's the way their perspective on the technology feels like it's maturing along with the technology, which is great.
Yeah.
Like people last year, they barely knew how to spell AI, and they were like proclaiming themselves experts.
They still are.
People, yeah, but people are smart. Have
now we
wise
got
up.
actual experts.
Yeah, there are actual experts.
We got actual experts now.
Anyway, we ain't calling nobody out. We're just saying.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying. We got actual experts now. So,
anyway.
But again, when we was talking about being early, it ain't that. It didn't necessarily set you up.
Are you seeing people that were early to try to brand themselves as the AI people? Are they falling off? Are people not paying attention to them now? Or are you seeing anything?
No. I don't think that. I think I think there's been a divide. Okay, so there's a conversation that's happening on top of that other conversation. So, like you were saying, when we first started, it was the purple cow conversation. I think that conversation is still happening. However, there's a actual I'm not going to say hot. There's a different conversation that's also happening where it's about how do we use this in our applications? How do we use it for scaling? How do we use it for saving time, effort, money? Those kinds of things, not just around the create space. Yeah. So the create space is still having their conversations, but the productivity space is having a different conversation. And I think that's the uniqueness of the technology where, and I don't know how to put this. And I had this thought in my head and I got to figure out exactly, how to massage it. But it's like AI is not a application. It's a platform.
Yeah, it's part of the platform.
Right. But then again, it's an application. It's both. It can be
it's
both.
in applications and it could be applied in so many different ways. That's why I love, like, last year the excitement was like this.
Right.
Now the excitement is like this. More people are definitely excited, which makes it more interesting for me because before it was all the conversation was driven by this. Right. Now it's a broader conversation. So certain things that stood out last year aren't standing out like they were because there's so many more things going on.
Exactly.
Which I'm glad for because I was sick and tired of certain things last year.
Me too. I feel you. But hey, that's a small amount of time to have such a major change.
It really is.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows what we'll be seeing next year too? I mean,
bro, I can't wait.
But we are going to make you all wait because we're actually going to do a on location, I guess, from Austin, Texas, at Zoholics 2024. We're gonna do a pass the mic where we're back together again, which is gonna be fun.
He thinks it's gonna be fun.
I will always have fun calling you out. So
that will not be happening. I'm going to be on my game, sir.
That's down the line. But as for next week, I'll be around. I'll be
good.
back
Right.
Thursday. So
I'll be here.
All right, this was a good conversation. Lots of good stuff. And thank you to Annette and Rosella and the notorious Alan Berkson and anybody else who was out there listening. We will see you next week. So in the meantime,
deuces.
See ya.